Hey guys, T right here with another episode of Good Genes, Bad Guts. Today I thought it would be a good idea to sort of ease us into the dialogue by starting with the generic symptoms. If you Google them, these are roughly the 13 symptoms that are going to come up on any site, 10 to 13, that are going to come up on any site that you're Googling. And this particular video is geared more towards those who are at a point where they're questioning their health and if they have IBS or ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, or they just know it's digestive and they don't really know what it is. This is for you guys. Let me say this. This can be some heavy subject matter. And I'm reminded of What's Love Got to Do with It with Tina and Ike, particularly Tina's performance of Proud Mary. Like in my head right now, I can see her on stage just shimmying, and she is telling the audience that sometimes I think you want to hear something from us that's nice and easy. But the problem is, we don't do nothing nice and easy. Okay, that's my play. That's what I'm working with here, y'all. I just dive headlong in. I'm candid. Whatever it is, I'm gonna confront it square on. And so, while that's my typical style, because I don't want to be off-putting, because I don't want to be shocking to the conscience, we're gonna do this nice and easy today, okay? So we're just starting with the basic symptoms. I said nice and easy today. Just today. Maybe the next episode too, but that will not be the norm. And don't forget, as always, I like to publish my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. Nothing I say should be construed as medical advice. I'm simply sharing my story, my experiences, and the functional protocol that allowed me to regain my health. That being said, let's dive into the symptoms. I think probably one of the most common and one of the most commonly referred to is abdominal pain. Now, the abdomen is a fairly broad area. It can range from basically the stomach, which is just below sort of like the solar plexus, all the way down to just above the bikini line, or sort of the pubic area line. So when I say abdominal pain, what do I mean? Well, it depends, because if you're dealing with upper GI Crohn's or issues, then the abdominal pain is going to be, speaking from personal experience, because I encountered both upper GI and lower GI. In terms of the upper GI, it was usually in that soft area just below the breastplate, and it was a dull radiating ache. So it was almost like I felt pain sort of radiating out from that central bundle of nerves. Lower abdominal pain might manifest, as it did with me, in the form of cramping, distension, which is tightness, and just sort of bloating, accompanied by aching. So much so that if yours is extreme, as in my case, I was always sort of hunched over, because standing fully erect was far too uncomfortable because of the constant pain. So that's abdominal pain. I'm just going to sort of touch upon them lightly, just in case these are things you're experiencing, because we're going to go into more depth in later segments. But next, so first there's the abdominal pain. This is the one that kills me because everybody harps on it, and it's sort of like the flag, the poster child for Crohn's. Diarrhea. Okay, yes. Diarrhea is absolutely a symptom of Crohn's, and for a number of people, it is extremely problematic. One of the things that the literature will say, if you Google it, is that Crohn's sufferers could potentially experience bowel movements up to 20 times a day. I don't know anything about that. I was not in the bathroom 20 times a day for any reason, not even when I drank 120 ounces of water a day. But I don't doubt that there are those who have had a very different experience. I didn't have frequent diarrhea. I had massive diarrhea once or twice a day. We'll talk about that. Moving on. These two symptoms caught me off guard because I was experiencing them before I was diagnosed, and I was really like, WTF? Like, I know I'm getting older, but I feel like I am starting to deteriorate at the speed of light, because eye pain and discomfort, I did not know what to do with that. I actually experienced eye irritation, so my eyes were a little bit achy, and in turn that caused me to sort of have trouble focusing. Like, I just felt as if my vision in general had become more impaired. I wear contacts, I wear glasses, my vision sucks anyway, so I noticed it because it started to suck even more, which was alarming. I'm like, am I about to go blind? But again, that's just sort of a glimpse of my experience with eye pain and discomfort. Joint pain and discomfort. I remember distinctly, I was on medical leave one day, I went to bend down, and literally my legs buckled, because for the first time I felt pain in my knees that I had no frame of reference for. I'd never ever felt anything like that before, and so I had to brace myself on a stationary object, and I continued to sort of lower myself to the ground. And when I got to the ground, I realized that there was a radiating aching pain in both knees, and I paid attention for the rest of that day. It was also in my elbows, it was in my ankles. So joint pain out of nowhere is absolutely a symptom. For me, diminished appetite. It also directly correlated to elevated stress and anxiety levels too, but diminished appetite. I have a voracious appetite. I can eat like a grown-ass man. But when Crohn's started to sort of take the wheel, I literally could be starving 3 bites and I feel full. What accompanies diminished appetite? If you're not eating, what's going to happen? What's logical to follow? Weight loss. So I experienced somewhat rapid weight loss. Then there were, like I said, they say frequent bowel movements. My frequency wasn't as high as what I'm led to believe the frequency of bowel movements for other Crohn's sufferers is, because I'm on IG and I follow a number of them, and I Google stuff and I look at stuff on YouTube. And so I'm different from, well, we're all different. That's the thing about Crohn's. It's very sort of person specific. You can't treat the disease, you need to treat the person. But I seem to be different from the majority of Crohn's sufferers in that I didn't have frequent bowel movements. Mine were just epic. I mean, I'm talking, what? Where'd that come from type of deal. But we'll deal with that too. Bloody stool, never had it. Can't speak to it. Doctors were absolutely confounded when I was diagnosed, because my ascending colon was, for all practical purposes, closed. They couldn't get a scope in it. They had to I had to have an MRI so they could actually assess the condition of it, determine if there were any cancerous cells, so forth and so on. So, but I can't explain it outside of just having a healthy lifestyle in general. But I had no bloody stool, even though that's a very common symptom of Crohn's disease. What else? Oh my goodness. Fatigue. low energy. For me, I'm talking somebody beat your ass like you can't get up. Like I was dragging to do simple things like urinate. Like it would take me 60 seconds to get myself together to just go potty. And I'm not even talking number two, I'm talking number one. Yeah, I'm taking it back to like when we were little kids. I'm not talking number two, I'm talking number one. Energy was nowhere to be found. And it was so chronic that I can remember crying episodes where I didn't know what was happening to me because I could just get up and go, but not anymore. So zero energy or just chronic fatigue, that is huge. Some people experience fever for a number of days and gallstones. I have no frame of reference for those, so I'll just put those out there, but I can't speak to them specifically because I didn't experience either that I'm aware of. Now, fever, if I had it for a day or two, it wasn't something that was perceptible. So it didn't make my radar. So for all practical purposes, it didn't happen to me. If I'm saying things, or if I'm listing symptoms and more than one, you fall into that category, you might want to listen a little more closely. Because even though I didn't have them, fever, gallstones, bloody stool, when you group them together, that may make you a more likely candidate. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Another huge one for me, skin issues. I experienced a range of skin issues, and I've always had clear, soft skin. Like that's just what it is. I never had skin problems. I mean, when I was pubescent, yeah, I mean, my face looked like a polka dot shirt. Like I had pimples everywhere, but did most of us? Once I was through puberty and I matured, that's not really something that I had issues with. And so with Crohn's, things like bumpy patches, no irritation, no redness necessarily, just the skin became sort of raised and abrasive and just hard and not soft to the touch. Something else I experienced that was frightening, it's called snake skin. Because the GI tract is inflamed and it can't absorb any nutrients, dehydration of every variety ensues, including that of the skin. And so my skin became so dry that it literally looked like the shedded skin of a snake. So like if you were to look at my leg, you could see like all of like these little striations and like lines, and I and they were dry, and it didn't matter how much lotion I put on because I lived in pajamas. When I took them off, like dust just wafted everywhere. That's literally how dry my skin is. That's why I'm sitting here right now, because and I have receipts. I don't show them often because the truth is, for someone like me who's never really had to deal with illness, they're not easy to see. But I have the receipts to speak to the severity of my Crohn's. Specifically, the Crohn's fellow that was attending to me immediately following my diagnosis, when I asked how severe it was, he said on a scale of 1 to 10, yours is about a 9. Doesn't get much worse than mine. And so if you're at a place right now where, just generally speaking, your digestion, it's just, something's off, or you experienced anything that I've said so far, because there are 1 or 2 more symptoms that I want to put out there. Just stay on notice. One of the biggest for me was nausea and or vomiting. I won't go into depth in this one. I'll just keep it simple because I have a lot to say about it when I get to my specific Crohn's symptoms. Again, I'm just speaking to Crohn's symptoms generally right now. If you Google them, this is what you'll see. But there are more symptoms given a person's unique family history, personal medical history, physiology, genetic makeup, you name it. We're individuals and we're unique. And so what we experience will vary to some degree. But what I've just trotted off for you today are those symptoms that it's believed, generally speaking, that everyone suffers from. The last one that I'll put out there, and I'm a little ambivalent about this one because I typically experience this when they put me on medication, not just as a standalone symptom, but it's constipation. I believe that there are Crohn sufferers that experience frequent and debilitating constipation. I never experienced constipation before Crohn's. I will say now, after having experienced constipation with Crohn's, it can feel like anything from I don't have any children, but what I can only imagine to be birth contractions, to a heart attack, to just the worst nausea and abdominal pain you've ever experienced. Constipation surprised me the most because it had the broadest sort of range of symptoms. That being said, those are the main symptoms that are published as symptoms of Crohn's. So I wanted to put those out there first. This is me starting off nice and easy, or as nice and easy as T. Gray can start off. So I'll wrap right there for today's session. As always, thank you for joining me. This segment in particular, please provide feedback. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know if you experience symptoms that I haven't spoken to. Let me know if I trotted out symptoms and your experience was completely different from mine. Like, just talk to me. Let me know. So please provide feedback. Please subscribe. I promise you this isn't light subject matter, but I'm going to deal with it in a light fashion because I'm not the uptight type. And last but not least, hold on. Keep pushing. I know you got this. I'll see you next time.